nervous about coordinating, sharing screens and stuff like that, but hopefully you'll bear with me, and we'll get there in the end. So some of you may not have made it to the last one, so I'll just give you a brief introduction to myself. So I've been with ReCreate for about a year. I started off as a membership liaison officer, so I would have had a lot of interactions with members and working on the floor and getting to know people and their creative ideas, which was fantastic for me. In terms of experience in a customer-facing role, and then moved on to being creative director. I suppose my path to ReCreate occurred from a time when I was working in the fashion industry, and it was due to kind of sustainability issues and my awareness of the waste of fabrics that led me to ReCreate. So in a way, I've had an incarnation as a supplier, a customer facing role, and creative director. So hopefully all of that experience will come in handy and come into play today as I talk you through our workshop. I'm just going to share my screen now so that we have some slides to show. So if you'll just bear with me now. This one. Present. Are we in business there? Brilliant. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'd like to thank all of you that have attended before, because your feedback was very helpful to us in putting together today's presentation. And as advocates of creative and collaborative learning, this feedback has really helped how we can best communicate and inform you and inspire you in your practice. So taking this feedback into account, we could see that many of you were curious to learn more and understand more about how ReCreate works, especially for those of you, given COVID and different circumstances changing, that haven't made it up to our warehouse of wonders just yet. So we're trying to bring what we do to you through our creative care packages and also through this webinar today. So hopefully you'll get a sense of what we're about and how we can help you in what you do. So today's bursary is entitled, as you can see, Putting Your Imagination to Work, and is going to focus on developing the disposition of curiosity and looking at the importance of being curious ourselves as adults and tuning into that when we're working with children. So just to give you an overview of what the plan looks like for today, I'm going to do a brief recap for those of you who couldn't attend the first session, just to set the tone and the environment for where we're coming from, and then build on that today in terms of the curiosity model. We're going to have a mix of breakout rooms and some video and time-lapse footage that will help give you a sense of what goes on here, and then your own interactions through a breakout room session, depending. We'll look at the time when we get to that to see how long we spend there and how we break it up. If you have received your bursary box, it would be great to have that nearby. If you haven't, you can still participate in the breakout room, and I'll go through the details of that when we get nearer to that section. Towards the end then, I'll show you a mini workshop that we put together featuring our famous Jo May, and then we'll finish off with some questions. I'm sure you'll have lots of questions, and you can put them in the chat feature and Clodagh will relay them for you to me. So without further ado, let's get started. I suppose I'm going to start with this. We covered this in the previous workshop, but just to give you a sense of what we're about in the ReCreate creative department, and how that kind of feeds into what we're going to talk about today. The last time we met in May, we covered how to foster creativity in your setting within the Ashler framework, and I just think by knowing what we're about in terms of our vision, it helps feed into what we're saying and talking about throughout the bursary. So one of the main visions of the ReCreate department is to help remove the stigma of the word creative. Sometimes that word is used exclusively or only in relation to particular types of people that are considered artistic. And at ReCreate, we believe that everybody has the capacity to be creative from the day they arrive on the planet, and that just sometimes as we get older and evolve, we get pigeonholed, or we forget that we have that creative capacity that we had when we were children. So a part of our mission is to highlight that, make it accessible, and to reignite that kind of no preconceived notions, and bring out your inner creative sense. We inspire curiosity and creativity through our process-led model by allowing people to take the lead in their creative interactions. So we believe that by allowing you to take the lead, and in turn by you allowing the children in your care to take the lead in their creative interactions, that you can build on what's already there, and you're just adding a sprinkling of materials or new experiences within the environment to foster that innate creativity. We do this because we'd like to place it at the centre of 21st century learning, where creativity and communication, collaboration and critical thinking will set us all in good stead for the future. So if we can foster this in the children that we work with and how we operate, things bode well for a better future for us all, where we can think outside the box, collaborate and communicate together, and think from a different point of view or another perspective. And ultimately, we want to help people to realise their own creative potential by providing a creative learning environment in which creativity will flourish. So in the last bursary, we covered how you can foster that within your own setting. And we talked about that in terms of the creative learning spiral and the 4 Ps. So we looked at projects, passion, peers and play, and the importance of encouraging that within your childcare setting. We feel that the best way to cultivate creativity is to support people working on projects based on their passions in collaboration with their peers in a playful spirit. We cultivate that here, and we encourage you to cultivate it in your setting in the creative environment through two ways. We looked at nature and nurture the last time we were here together, and when we're talking about nature and nurture in the creative environment, we're talking about 2 kind of different things. We're talking about the nature in terms of the supportive atmosphere that you provide, and the nurture through the experience. Or excuse me, I just need to take a glass of water. My tongue is sticking to my mouth. Apologies. When we're talking about nurture, we're talking about the experience within it. We feel that play thrives where curiosity, creativity and imagination are valued, and through the cultivation of nature and nurture in your environment, you can support the processes of learning, play and creativity in the way you set up the environment and the supportive atmosphere and relationship that you provide as the children engage and play with the materials. We looked at the benefits of the non-directional approach, learning as practitioners by listening to and observing the children in our care, to understand their needs by just taking a step back, observing and looking at how they explore the materials with excitement and curiosity. Going a step further than this, the last time we met, I suggested to you to step into their shoes as a kind of a takeaway from the last bursary, as part of your preparation of going back into your setting and the return to the new normal, to maybe take some time in your practice to play with reuse materials you have in your practice to help inform your ideas. And I just would be interested to know, by a show of hands on the screen, how many people had an opportunity to do that. You can pop it there. I think there's a little hand is it in your actions? Yeah, you can, if you'd like to put up your hand to say whether you have, if you had the opportunity to do that. And if you haven't, it's not a problem, but it's good for me to get a sense of it, and we'll explore that. You'll get an opportunity to do that later on. Now, perhaps the hand function in the chat box is not working, is it not? Or maybe just everyone's too shy to put up their hands. Okay, that's no problem. We can move on. Let me just get rid of that chat function. Okay, I'll go back to, you haven't opened yet, Claire. Okay, no problem. But anyway, again, I would just take this as an opportunity to, if you have time, even if you have a spare half an hour, just to take some time to play around with the materials, that will actually feed into your own creativity. Okay, so some people did it there. So staff member did it, okay, no problem. So a lot of you haven't opened yet and you're just still preparing. Well, maybe it's something you can look into as we prepare to go back, and maybe you'll take something away from today that you can bring into that. So, okay, great. Thanks for your responses there. I'm just going to go back to the share screen mode again. And we're back. Okay, great. Can everyone see that? Perfect. So, oh, it's not working. Okay, great. Sorry, something paused there. Could be the Wi-Fi. So, moving on from that, well, hopefully you will all get a chance to get some creative play ideas today and try them out before you go back in. The point being that asking you to do that the last time, and in terms of talking about the setup and the creative play, was in an effort to help you to just feel and act more like the children that you work with to help inform you. So it was basically to step into their shoes and adopt their childlike curiosity. And I think that's a big thing that we try to do here at ReCreate. In our setup and in how we have everything laid out and how we position ourselves, we want to tap into that element, that childlike curiosity, to foster more wondering, more imagination, and help you to explore your innate creativity. We try to harness that feeling of childlike wonder as soon as you come through the door, by how we've got it set up and the greeting that you get when you get here. And although you may think that your setting is quite different to ours, they inherently have something in common, where we're trying to be positive, engaging, and creative with anyone that comes into our care and nurture that. So let's see. We present and display an array of eclectic and unusual tools and materials in our warehouse, under the 3 pillars we discussed in the last bursary. So the headings there would have been environment, setup, and material and tools, to encourage you to take off the blinkers and look at the materials from a new vantage point. To gain confidence in what you're doing, we encourage you to have conversations with us and those that you may meet in the warehouse when you visit here. Talk about your projects and find out what other practitioners are doing, and get a sense of collaboration and helping each other to develop and nurture creative ideas. The aim being that through your exposure and interaction with ReCreate, that we will have a positive, mind-opening impact on you, and then you in turn will share that and foster that in the children that you work with. I mean, I can talk about this till the cows come home because I'm very passionate about it, but to give you more of a sense of what we're about and give you a feeling and a look and a sneak peek, we've compiled a little video here to give you a flavour of what it's like to visit our headquarters and the eclectic mix of materials we have here, how it works, what a visit feels like, what it looks like, and the very kind Kevin, head of our marketing and business development, is taking the starring role in talking you through how it works. So without further ado, let's have a look, and you can have a little virtual visit to ReCreate.
Hey, my name is Kevin. I'm the marketing manager here, and today I'm going to take you inside and show you what we have. If you're curious to find a little bit more, follow me. So we're operating on an appointment basis at the moment. Now, when you book an appointment, you come in, and then when you come in, you sign in here at our sign-in area. Teresa is here. She's our member liaison officer. She's here to help with any sort of queries or questions you might have about your membership. And we also have a shop here where you can purchase your little bits that might be needed to complement your materials of your membership. So this is our sign-in system. We have all your membership details in our system here. So when you arrive in, you simply click existing member, and then you type in your member name or your member number, whichever is easiest for you. We'll go with ReCreate today. We'll search, and then here we have our details, and we simply click sign in. And if we have any guests with us, we'll put the amount of guests in here. We click sign in, and then we work away, and we can head off into the warehouse and explore the materials. So there we have it, folks. It's as easy as that. We come in, we sign in, we work away, take our stuff, and off we go. When we finish with our trolley, we bring it back to our warehouse door, which is just to the left-hand side of the main door here, where our staff will disinfect the trolley, we'll clean it down, and we'll bring it back out to the shop floor for the next visitor's appointment. So we hope to see you soon. We hope to see you make a trip up to ReCreate, stock up and stuff to keep you going with all sorts of creative projects throughout the rest of the year. And yeah, listen, we look forward to seeing you and welcome you to ReCreate.
Great, thanks guys. Thanks Catherine for there. Nothing more stressful than IT. Anyway, I'll hand you back to Ashley.
Thanks, Clodagh. Yeah, big thanks to Catherine's son. I don't have his name, or I'd use it. Let me just see if we can get back to our original. I think I'm still on your screen, Clodagh, am I? No?
No, to your screen now.
No, here I am. Great. Okay. Sorry now, a bit thrown after all those technical glitches, but thanks for bearing with us. So I suppose by showing you this, I wanted to illustrate our three pillars in our environment, setup and tools, and show how the experience in ReCreate starts from the point where you cross the threshold. So under our three pillars, we aim to present you with the collective tools and materials to foster your curiosity and to enable you to explore your innate creativity. And ultimately, this all boils down to harnessing the feelings of childlike wonder and excitement and imagination. I suppose the best way I can illustrate my experience of that is from working where you would have seen Teresa sitting there in the video. I always think back to when I first started working here, and it has continued throughout, but every day I was repeatedly struck by how many adults, be they teachers, childcare practitioners, carers, social workers, or just families, homeschoolers, from the moment they walked over the threshold, they all were overcome by a very particular look, and they all reacted in a very similar way. I kind of called it the kid in a sweet shop look, wide-eyed and in wonder at the unusual mix of materials that we had laid out and selected before them. And I think the materials placed out of context really pique visitors' curiosity and imagination, and it creates a real sense of childlike excitement. And time and again, surrounded by new ideas, new materials, new experiences, these adults that come in tuned into their inner child, and the wonder, curiosity and imagination that kind of struck at that point is what fed their creative ideas and compelled them then to talk about their projects. So conversations would strike up at the front desk or walking around the warehouse. The excitement and the imagination kind of created this buzz of wanting to talk about it, and even people that might feel, some people feel overwhelmed when they come in because there's just so much stuff. You would have seen in the video there that it's quite a large warehouse and there's quite a lot of material there. But even at their most overwhelmed, something grows, something flourishes, and ideas come. And I think what did it for me was when I saw that, when I witnessed that each day, time after time, that I realized that that's what the nugget is, and that's the bit that we need to hold on to. It's that sense of curiosity and wonder, and so to hold on to that, to keep that nugget in our back pocket so that we can empathize and understand with what children in our care feel when we lay out and present new or different or eclectic open-ended materials into their environment or onto their tables. And the bottom line for me is that wonder ignites curiosity, questions come, ideas flourish, and it really influences how we all, but big or small, approach the tools and materials, and it really encourages us all to explore and think. So I had mentioned our vision earlier on, and this is just to revisit the second vision. So today's focus is on inspiring that curiosity and that wonder, that in the hope that it leads to creativity. And we do that here through our process-led model, by allowing you to take the lead in your creative interactions. So from the time you walk in the door and you see the materials and you see how it's laid out, there's a connection that informs your creative interaction and allows you then to build on your innate creativity. For me, curiosity is the key here, and it's something that I think as we get older and we have to do more important things that we might lose sight of. But it's that curiosity that I'm sure you see every day in your settings or with your own children, that if only we could get back to being like that and think like that and wonder like that, that maybe I know that a whole plethora of new experiences and creative ideas can come. So at ReCreate, we have what we call like 7 indicators of curiosity, and for today's workshop and when we're talking, I'd like you to kind of consider these and forget about what's right and what's wrong. Take off blinkers, and when we look at materials later on and we're talking about it, just try and view it like you're seeing something for the first time. And if you are seeing it and it's something you've never seen before, ask questions to yourself or of others and think about how you could use the material in a different way. This facilitates a kind of a journey, a creative journey of wonder in your mind, and it enables you to brainstorm and collaborate with your peers, and hopefully we can cover that and experience that in the breakout rooms later today. And ultimately it's to think bigger and outside the box and learn to observe things in a different way. And I think all of these things can be applied to when you think about children and how they view things. Their questions come thick and fast, the why questions come and the wonderings come. And if you allow yourself to get, absorbed in that, it can be a very reverse educational experience and creative experience for yourself. So Ashtar, sorry, I need to take another mouthful of water. So yeah, so we encourage curiosity and we foster it in how we set up and behave in our setting. Ashtar also encourages what they describe as the disposition of curiosity. And as childcare practitioners, you already know that this description of children's learning is what they need in order to achieve their full potential. The ASTRA themes of identity and belonging and exploring and thinking both identified this disposition of curiosity as one that early learning and care practitioners should support and encourage young children to develop. ASTRA defines a disposition as an enduring habit of mind and action. Disposition is the tendency to respond to situations in different ways. Dispositions such as curiosity, independence, resilience, and perseverance are innate characteristics that children possess from birth. However, children's natural dispositions vary, and as we explored in our last webinar, adult-child interactions and relationships and experiences, affect experiences that children have in your environment and can have an impact on the development of both positive and learning dispositions. You may ask why learning dispositions are important, or why are dispositions important? They have an impact on a child's overall ability to learn and progress, and dispositions developed alongside and in conjunction with children's acquisition of knowledge, skills, attitudes, and understanding. I'm just going to see if I can unshare the screen here to talk about this, or I'll do it. Actually, I'll do it after this because it might get confusing, and I don't want to lose the sound again. Sorry, guys. So, for instance, if you're participating or you're working with a child, say, who is stacking cups, for instance, so we get hundreds of cups, unused coffee cups here in ReCreate. So if you can imagine, you could stack that into a tower, you could make different things out of it. But just in the learning process of stacking those cups together and placing them in different ways, the child is learning how to grasp, place, build. But in learning those skills, they are also learning the disposition of patience and perseverance. So all of these things work and in conjunction with each other. The positives, the dispositions can be positive or negative. So, I mean, learned helplessness sometimes can happen if a child isn't given the chance to, say, tidy up after a workshop, or be part of the process of cleaning up, or putting the correct recycling in the right bin, or putting away the things that they've used. So when we're running workshops and things like that, that is all part of that sort of learning and creative process, that the setup and the tidy up are part of it, and encouraging them to take the lead and take responsibility and be independent. We're reinforcing positive dispositions. But for today, we're going to focus on supporting the positive disposition of curiosity. So why curiosity? By valuing curiosity, we're allowing children to act on what they think and communicate positively on their own thoughts. And we're cultivating a sense of well-being, resilience, self-worth, and exploring and thinking in this way. That sounds quite broad, and you may wonder, how can we do this? But the best way that we can encourage this is by modeling it in ourselves. That beggars the question, why? And I would say that by valuing their curiosity, communicating positively, and allowing them to act on it, we are helping them to cultivate a sense of themselves, of their self-worth, and of their resilience. They need to be able to act on their curiosity, to take risks, and to be open to new ideas and uncertainty. And in facilitating that, in modeling that in ourselves, and in doing this for children, we're helping to cultivate future adults that can cope with new scenarios, uncertainty. And if we look at the situation we've all been in over the last few months, there's been a lot of uncertainty. But this sort of reinforcement and cultivating of positive dispositions such as curiosity can really help with coping mechanisms in uncertain scenarios. So I think the best way to model curiosity with the children that you work with is to show that you value it, and that when they're behaving in a curious manner or asking particular questions, respond like that you really value their point of view, and follow their lead. Notice what they say and respond to their questions. And we can really model curiosity by providing opportunities where they can explore and experience different objects, different relationships, different environments, and perhaps in relation to, say, the materials that we have. If you were to say, I'm going to just unshare my screen for 1 second. If you were to take, for instance, something like as simple as our gold card that we have. I hope you can see that there. It's something that its original life was as the base for some salmon to live on before we bought it. Taking something as like this particular gold card and talking about it in a particular way. So you might say, look at this gold card. This is very smooth. This is very shiny. It's quite different to the sugar paper we used yesterday. It's posing a question, it's posing a wonder, and it's giving them the opportunity to answer and give their opinion, their feeling about it. Or if it's something like, for instance, we might have some of these beads that we get quite a lot of in ReCreate, by putting it into a container like this and shaking it around and asking, what's that noise, I wonder, or why is it making that noise, and see what answers they come back with, and then follow their lead in their answering. And when I was talking earlier about the stacking of the cups, sorry, they're the cups I was talking about. So they may play around with stacking it this way or that way or any other way, but just follow whatever way they do it and allow them to fail and not have a right or wrong answer of how to do it properly. I'm just going to go back to my other. Sorry. Also, it's important to take individual differences and preferences into account. So you may need to introduce changes gradually or by giving extra support to a child that needs it, some extra time. Also providing a variety of opportunities to experience and explore different objects and environments, talk about what they see and they feel, like I just said before. And then also methods of modeling such as a willingness to learn. So by showing that you don't necessarily know the answer, or you find something interesting, by expressing that you don't know what it is or that you hadn't seen something like that before, it's letting them know that you don't have all the answers, and it's okay that you can both find out. And words like, I wonder what we could do with this, or I wonder how we could find out more about it, again puts the lead back to them and encourages them to ask more and problem solve themselves. Also, encouraging children to think of different ways that they might solve a problem rather than immediately providing the solution. So for instance, if you were playing a game, we make a lot of creative play games here, and we set up obstacle courses, and we might just have a certain amount of materials. If you could set out a certain amount of ingredients, as we call it here, and pose the question, is there anything here that we could use to mark out the zone for this game? The items may not be your normal like ruler or something like that, but there may be sticks from nature, there may be poles like we have down in the warehouse that are used for blinds, it could be string, it could be a line of coffee cups, something like that. But to put the question out there and see what they come up with, and then ask further questions like, where could we look for something like that, or where could we find something that works? And even going further than that and encouraging kind of collaboration with their peers. You say, oh, I wonder, would Catherine be able to help us, or Catherine's son, who would be able to help us with this problem? And just posing questions like that can really model that curiosity and willingness to learn. So ultimately, we want to know what the outcomes of being curious are, and they help children to learn about and to make sense of the world around them. So by encouraging them and modeling them in that way, you're helping the child to develop and use strategies to observe and question, to investigate, comprehend, you know, negotiate and problem solve. And then by doing this, they will understand or come to comprehend themselves as explorers and thinkers, and also give them a sense of self-esteem and well-being and independent thought. It will allow the children to explore and also share their feelings and their thoughts through objects, through symbols, through colour and texture, through shapes, and communicating non-verbally in some cases, or expressing a feeling through a colour or a texture or something like that. Children will have positive attitudes as a result of being curious towards learning, and also by seeing you being curious, they will be comfortable with and maintain that sense of curiosity and playfulness, persevere through when things get difficult, have a sense of resilience, and build their confidence. And it's important that they take risks and they're not afraid to try something, and not be afraid of failure. So ultimately, what we'd like you to do today is explore and think as I've outlined, and embrace your own wonder and curiosity in relation to the open-ended materials that we've delivered to you. We want to encourage you to wonder and play and imagine like the children that in your care do. And to do this, if you've received your box, we'd love you to dip in and delve into the creative care package to embrace your inner child. We're going to take approximately 15 minutes. I'm not sure, Claude, if it needs to be shorter because of our delay with the video there. But what we'd like to do is for you to look at the contents. If you don't have a box, maybe look at some items that are around you, or discuss previous projects you may have participated in before using reused materials. Questions to consider when you're looking through the box or looking at the materials are similar to what I just covered in the modelling section. Think about what the item might have been used for before. I find sometimes the story of, or the wonder around where something might have come from, can inform the idea that you might come up with to make something. And just consider things like what does an item remind you of? What else could it be? And as we said before, that kind of playing around with sound and colour and look and texture. But ultimately, we'd like you to tune into your inner child and play, so that you can look inside our box and think outside the box for the future, and with a view to sharing that with the children that you have in your setting. So if you could come up, I'm not sure if we have how many numbers we have, Clodagh.
Yeah, I'll sort out the breaking
Okay,
up.
great.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So we're going to give, is 15 minutes still okay? How are we for time?
I think we'll cut it down to 10.
10, that's perfect, yeah. So think about what you could do or create with the contents of the box, kind of have a conversation and brainstorm, remembering passion, project, peers and play, and then come back and you can share your ideas and what you've discovered in the chat function. Just the best thing to do when you go into the chat room, I think, is just to introduce yourself, where you're from, how many children you have in your setting, the name of your creche, and come up with 5 ideas of how to use the materials. So it could be, for instance, it could be a game, maybe a character, or it could be something that you could use to play around with mark making. So it can be anything you want it to be, but maybe I'm just giving you those pointers as a little bit of direction without too much direction. Are there any questions, or is that clear for everybody?
Great, Ash, so if you just stop sharing your screen there for a second.
Yep.
And so I was just thinking as Aisling was talking there about, you know, the fear of being wrong, and we're always saying that to kids about, you know, don't worry about being wrong. And yet, like, I was having a heart attack there when the audio wouldn't work, and I was like, gosh, I just was mulling over it, not that I wasn't listening to you, Aisling, but I was thinking about how I don't want to feel foolish in front of all these people. You know, I want them to see that ReCreate has it together, but we're trying to encourage people not to have that fear of being wrong, that like it's not the end of the world, the audio doesn't work, we'll all survive. And so living curiosity, and we're working a lot to learn a lot about curiosity and the value of curiosity now at the moment, and it's really challenging. We all want everyone to be curious, but how do you make that practical? You know, other than just asking 500 questions, we want to go deeper than that. So we're going to split everyone into breakout rooms. Everyone knows breakout rooms are super awkward. I've been on loads and everyone hates them. So I'm going to really challenge everybody to switch on your camera and just to say who you are and share, and just, it's only going to be 10 minutes of your life. So put yourselves in that awkward position. We can all do it together, and share ideas of things that you do in your own setting. If you don't have your box, loads of questions about boxes, and we'll make sure that everyone gets a box, so don't worry about that. But if you have, if you've been to ReCreate, you might share about the materials that you've had or some ideas, and then when you come back, if you could just pop those in to the chat. I promise we won't call on anybody in the spot to speak, so don't worry about that. So we'll gather everyone back in about 10 minutes and look forward to chatting to them. So a pop-up will pop up about accepting your breakout room, and if you just accept that, that will send you to breakout room. And some people are saying they don't have access to the camera or microphone. That's no worries, just go to the breakout room and listen. So if you're in the breakout room and there's like a lurking non-speaking member, just know that they are having some IT issues. Great. And Aisling, don't accept to go to one.
I won't. Okay.
So welcome back. Hope you all had a lovely awkward 10 minutes. We should just wait for the last couple of people to be kicked out of their rooms. Looks very sunny wherever you are, Katie. Nice sunshine coming in behind you.
Costa del Kerry.
Ah, I hear you've got a lot of staycationers down there.
Yeah, very busy.
I was one of them.
Great, I think that's everyone back in, Ash. You're on mute.
Sorry, I'm just trying to adjust my screen here because all I can see is you at the moment. As lovely as that is. Okay, so I hope you all had a good opportunity to have a bit of a chat or discuss some wonderings and brainstorming and getting to think outside the box or with the box if you have a box, and you've got some sense of collaborating and shared some ideas. So if you have any ideas you'd like to put up there, I think Clodagh will direct them back to me and we can share them together. We'll put them together in a document that we'll send out to you with this recording as well, so that you'll all have the benefit of each other's ideas. The more the merrier, as they say. Maybe while I'm waiting for the suggestions to go up there, or the ideas to go up, I'm just going to share the screen for a second, Clodagh. So, technical strengths, not, sorry. So just to recap for everyone after coming out of the breakout rooms. So the whole idea about doing this was just to put your imagination to work, to get some ideas flowing, and to experience what you'd like the children that you work with to experience, and also to get a sense of what they experience when they see things for the first time, and play around with ideas. And the idea being that by indulging your own curiosity as practitioners, you can then in turn foster it in children. And that's the main purpose of that little exercise there. So if anyone has any suggestions there, Clodagh, or ideas they'd like to share?
Yes, great. Vanessa just mentioned that they use the drum as an astronaut's backpack or a firefighter's backpack.
Oh, great. Yeah.
You see,
Fantastic. Useful for role play.
Yes, we see a lot of rocket themed kids making a lot of rockets. They're very popular. I guess that we have this thick gold insulation, which you might have seen when Kevin was walking around, and it's great material. It's very pliable and bendable and all those good able words.
Funny you should mention that, actually.
Wow.
Because here we have a little bit of a robot guy here that Liz made in the last week or so, and it's made with that gold foil and other thinner gold foil. So a lot of the components that make up this guy, which are coffee cups, these funny little thimble things that some of you might have found in your boxes for fingers, the containers that I was shaking at you earlier on here form his eyes, and he's attached to one of the many hangers that we get here at ReCreate. So yeah, robots, sorry, it's a she, this is a she, I apologize, her name is Lola. So there's just some ideas around the use of cardboard, the old cake boxes that are covered in foil, and she hangs up downstairs, and when you visit you'll see her to welcome you, along with Teresa and Liz. And
also she's movable, which I think is great, because then you can double up as a character,
and also like a puppet. She has that movability there. So that everything here, and more or less everything here, or some form of it, are in the Creative Care packages as well.
And so I mean, I'm constantly amazed at the gold insulation, just around the sustainability element of that. We get an articulated truck of that about 3 times a year, and it's because it hasn't passed health and safety standards, which I guess is great, but the level of waste is astronomical. I'm always constantly blown away, but if it wasn't coming to ReCreate, it would be going to landfill, and that doesn't biodegrade. That would be there forever, and like the volume of it is just off the Richter scale, and so it's incredible. It's really great stuff. Anyway, sorry, I should go on. So Catherine's saying that none of you had the box. You just talked about things that you received from in previous times, which is great.
Great, yeah.
Lots of options there. Hannah, they use the drum and the silver covering as a spaceship. I mean, it was born for that. We have this massive roll of very quite strong silver foil at the back. That one of the other things that ReCreate is that we never cut anything, so you can get large quantities. And it's amazing for all space endeavors. So next one, Aisling, is I use the plastic beads for our indoor sensory tray instead of sand.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, a lot of people do that, and there's lots of different varieties of it here. So there's these ones here. We use these as our little shakers, but we have big containers of that and vast quantities of it. And sometimes we encourage, like you're saying about the sand play, to hide things in it and go and wonder and find what's in there, and close your eyes and figure it out by feel. So there's some of those there, and we would also have them in this orangey color, and then we have our beautiful purple sand. I don't know if it looks purple in this light, but we had got this from Brown Thomas after Christmas this year. It was part of their display for Christmas and in January, so they gave us vast amounts of that, and it's great, and it's usable for all sorts of sand play and sensory work, which is great.
And I guess the other advantage of ReCreate is that I know now a lot of organizations are doing pods, and so it's in a very affordable way to get 5 sets of materials. You know, if you need 5 sets of beads, or to keep it all contained and separate, which is great.
And even that that's true. And also even a lot of the larger scale carry boards and stuff like that, even if you need to create sectioned off areas, even like within your interior, there would be a lot of stuff here that would help you subdivide your pods depending on the size of your setting and the amount of children that you have, etc. So there's something for within the pod and to create the pod.
Yeah, great. So Catherine said that Paula suggested that with the cups making a dragon and letting all the children build a piece of the dragon, which is
Oh
fab.
yeah, that'd be a lovely collaborative project. Yeah, gorgeous.
Hannah said using the bits to make an elephant, stack the cups and paint them to make a trunk, and the big part of foil covering to shape some big floppy ears.
Oh, that'd be so cute. You're very own Dumbo. That'd be really nice. Because yeah, you could do the trunk and the legs with the cups. You could nearly do, you know, limbs and trunk with that, and then the body with the silver foil. Yeah,
we did this amazing a cardboard zoo maybe last year that we could send around a picture from you guys.
Oh great, yeah.
For you guys that just cut out lots of from the large cardboard sheets that we have and cut out a whole host of existing and future animals from that, which is great that people were slotting together and that. Claire says,
oh, and sorry, you've just reminded me, with the elephant there, there was a group of boys that worked together. There were 10 or 11, and they created a rattlesnake just before we closed for around St. Patrick's Day. But they used these. They filled one of our big long tubes with these, and then created the face of the rattlesnake with some fabrics that are also contained in the box. And you know our blue sponges that look like tears. If you go back and look at the video with Kevin, that dreaded video earlier, that there's tears of raindrops are hanging in the hallway. But those were used as the face for the snake. So the snake face was up here, and then the long tube, and then this was in there to make the rattle, which I thought was quite ingenious, and it was really, really good. And then it was again another like project with 4 or 5 children.
Great.
Sorry, I digress.
No, that's good. I'll just read out a couple more. Claire said that she loves the robot. Thanks, Claire. We'll pass it on to Liz. We use egg cartons a lot for mobiles, and as well as LCDs, recyclable household items for the home corner. Different beads and containers would make great sound boxes for Montessori. Yeah, it's really, really good stuff.
Yeah,
we are
absolutely.
There's another social enterprise called Dabble Do that do musical instruments out of reused materials quite often, and we have a bit of a Dabble Do corner here that shows things that you can make from musical instruments, which is great. And then I'll just read out this last one. Catherine said we had large pieces of cardboard and jigsaws with the children as they drew and coloured a picture, stuck on the cardboard and numbered the pieces, and then had their own jigsaw. That's brilliant. I love that.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah.
We are avid Cube. The Cube. I don't know if any of you watch The Cube with Philip Schofield. We're all obsessed with it here, making our own Cube games from reused materials. So if you ever want some ideas, probably maybe for older children, but we love a good game show here.
Good bit of competition around here.
Yes, yes, healthy amount. We try them out here for an hour before we let them out on the loose. Great. Okay, Aisling, I might just hand over to you. We're just under pressure for time now.
Yeah, no problem at all. Okay, I'll go back to my share screen. Thanks for that, guys. Lots of good suggestions there. And we'll go back to presentation mode. Come on. Yeah. So now that we've got lots of feedback and ideas from yourselves, we put together a time-lapse video of Joe making use of the materials that we've provided in the Creative Bursary boxes. So Joe started off with no plans. She just put the materials on the table and came up with something as a way of showing you the non-directive process-led approach. She didn't really know what she was going to make, and then 2 or 3 things came out of it. So we just wanted to show you how she kind of embraces that as well when she's working, and hopefully give you some more ideas for use of the materials that are within your creative care package, and hopefully more inspiration to add to what you've got from your peers today as well. So I'm going to play that now.
Oh no, I'm going to play it from my.
Oh sorry, I'm sorry.
Don't now.
Sorry, I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, okay. I mean, having said that, I hope I don't let Catherine's son down now. Pressure's on. Okay, I have
I think
hopefully learned.
we've all let him down today.
Now, what was the little trick here? Okay. In fact, there's no talking in this, but anyway. Oh. All right, now.
Doesn't matter, 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 doesn't matter, matter, doesn't matter, 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 doesn't matter, matter, doesn't matter, 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 doesn't matter, matter, doesn't matter, 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 'cause we just saw this. We just saw this.
Great. Now you all guys have to whip that up now in a couple of minutes.
That's your next challenge. So as you can see in the video, she came through with about 3 different ideas, but started from one starting point, which initially was the large piece, which I have here. I'm not sure if you can see it, which makes use of stickers, the Hessian sacks, those funny little ring things that we have in stock at the moment, which I'm still trying to find out what exactly they are, and some of our brown paper. And she started out with creating a base that turned into sort of a seascape, utilizing everything that you will receive, or if you have not received it in your box, your creative care package. So Hessian sacks, sponge cut out into shapes like waves and fish. There's a large, they're seat coverings actually, and they're great for creating printers, stampers I should say, great for making marks, and just playing around with that. And then that kind of led on to the offcuts of things that she cut out in the video, and you can look back and see is what inspired her to create the mobile using those gold sheets that I showed you earlier on, and it's hanging here behind me. And so we have our planets made from scrunched up newspaper, paint, and the famous silver foil, and our rocket, our ReCreate rocket, that's made up of cups, silver foil inside out and right side in, and fabric and stickers for the fire that comes out of the rocket. I'm not sure how well you can see that there, but it gives you a little bit of a close-up compared to the video. And then the mobile is a very simple structure made with cardboard slotted into each other, and then the string is used to hang the different planets and different shapes out of it to create interest and reflection and different shapes for the kids to talk about and play with. So they're just 3 ideas in 3 minutes. It's probably a lot to take in and you might want to rewind, but that's to give you just a taste of what you could do with some of the bits that are in the box, and there's quite a lot of stuff there that you can work with. So I'm just going to go back to one slide and then we'll wrap it up. That's okay, if I can find how to do it. Can you see that?
No.
No.
Shall I share it? That's the last slide, is
Yeah.
it?
So it's the last slide, yeah. No, the one before it. Just the
Okay,
second last, I should say. Sorry.
Oh. Sorry now, hang on.
Yeah, great. So it's just a wrap up really, and to focus on how creativity is a step beyond imagination and how it's about putting your imagination to work. The great Sir Ken Robinson, I wouldn't want to disagree with him, but I would say at ReCreate that we think curiosity is a step beyond imagination, and we encourage you to embrace your inner child and to follow the curious path, and enjoy what you do with it. And for tuning in today and persevering with our technical issues, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you've any questions, I know it's 3:30 now, if you've any questions you'd like to ask, I'm happy to stay on for another few minutes to answer them, and if you have to go, that's quite all right, and thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate everyone's patience and attention and everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome. If you have any questions, you can just stick them in the chat box or ask us, or you can email me afterwards. But we'll send out all the resources. And if I'm not speaking to you again, just the very best of luck with reopening and with everything. And I hope that you make great use of ReCreate in the future.
Aisling, can I just ask you?
Sure.
You know the safety scissors that the kids use?
Yes.
For cutting out stuff. Can you suggest any other items that they could use for cutting out?
Instead of the safety scissors?
Yeah, because some of the stuff, the safety scissors wouldn't go through it, you know, that kind of way, like the thick paper and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes they get frustrated.
Sticker card and stuff.
Yeah, and they don't want you to do it. So, because I have
don't want your help.
Autistic children.
Yeah. I know, and I'm telling you to follow their lead. Right.
You know, and I've
so
the question I've asked in numerous of places and courses I've been on, and nobody has an answer.
Yeah.
So that's why I said
it's a bit of a challenge. So yeah.
It's a
so it's unfortunate, isn't it? So it's, sorry, you were breaking up a little bit there. So from what I gathered, it's additional needs children, was it?
Yeah, no, well, I have
You're working with those there
a
now.
couple of autistic children as well. Like, there's only a couple of them, but some of the other children find it very frustrating when, because sometimes I'd have the stuff cut out for them first, and they don't like that. They want to do it themselves.
No, they want to do it themselves. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
and I can understand.
I
that
suppose. I suppose, I mean, you need the safety scissors for safety purposes.
Yeah.
And I suppose what I would be thinking about doing is, I suppose rather than cutting it out for them, adjusting the materials that you're cutting as opposed to the scissors, if you know what I mean.
That's a good idea,
So
yeah.
for instance, that silver foil that we were talking about there, that's actually very easy to cut and manipulate. You can use those safety scissors with it. You don't need a really sharp scissors like you would with a thick card or you know, the carby board or something like that. Obviously, you know, I would say follow their lead and let them, if it's something very thick, obviously you can't give them a, you know, a Stanley knife or anything like that.
Maybe,
so
maybe test it out first before I actually.
I'd suggest, say, get a selection of whatever materials you're thinking about using. Do a test run yourself. Figure out what those safety scissors do work on, and then give the scissors and those materials to those children to use, so that they don't feel like they can't do something, or they don't feel like they're being left out of something. So if you kind of do that kind of pre-work beforehand, that might be easier than trying to find an amazing scissors that works for everything. I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, sorry, it's just I've asked so many people now, and there's, you know, like I've asked lecturers and
don't be sorry at all. It's a very valid question. Yeah.
You know, and actually, it was one of the lecturers said, I must investigate that. That's, you know.
Well, maybe I'll get on the investigation trail as well, and I'll have a look into it as well. And if I find something, if I find a better answer or a better tool, I'll let you know.
Brilliant. Happy days. Thank you so much,
Catherine.
guys. I really